Blade Runner 2049 is directed by Denis Villeneuve and stars Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Ana de Armas, Dave Bautista, and Jared Leto, as well as a bunch of other supporting characters, in the highly anticipated sequel to the 1982 masterpiece Blade Runner, directed by Ridley Scott. I've got to be honest here, this was easily my most anticipated film of this year so far. With the simple fact that the original Blade Runner is, in my opinion, the best sci-fi movie I've ever watched, I had very, very high expectations for this film, and Denis Villeneuve is probably one of the best new upcoming directors out there. His films Enemy, Prisoners, and Arrival all stunned me, with the first two, for me personally, being some of the most underrated movies that I've watched in recent memory. So of course, expectations for me, along with many others, were very high for this film. And all I could say going out of this movie is, this is not only the best film of 2017 by a mile, it might just be one of the best movie sequels I have ever seen. I've got so much to say about this movie, so many great things that I can't wait to tell you guys, but I am going to keep it spoiler free because I want you all to go into this movie and truly experience it for yourselves, because this is a movie that you should not miss out on. This is a film that if you haven't watched the original Blade Runner, you seriously need to watch that film and then watch this in the cinemas. It is truly going to go down in history, I believe, as one of the quintessential movies of our time. It's just incredible. So the film picks up 30 years later after the original Blade Runner. The main character is, of course, Kay, played by Ryan Gosling. He's a new Blade Runner working in the city, and due to some circumstances, he ends up having to team up with Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, who was, of course, in the original Blade Runner film in 1982. And that is all I'm going to say for this film, because I want you to go into this film knowing as little as possible. I didn't try at all to look up any details for this film's story. I literally only watched the trailers, only because I knew they wouldn't spoil anything, and that was it. Because I wanted to go into this movie as fresh as I could, and the story for this is fantastic. I love the original Blade Runner, but there are some problems with that film's storylines. I could not think of a single problem or contrivance with this film's plot. It was absolutely amazing and blew me away completely. And just in general, I think this is probably one of the best sci-fi plots I've seen in recent memory. It doesn't try anything outlandish or crazy, or even anything that's remotely different to the point where it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. But it's just a very well-told story with really complex characters, and I feel like that's where Blade Runner in the original film was at its peak, and that is what they do here, and they just do it to such an amazing effect, and it's just such a fantastic and mesmerizing film to watch for its characters. Speaking of the characters and the performances, they're both amazing in this film. Ryan Gosling as Kay was fantastic. Harrison Ford as Deckard gives probably one of the best performances he's given in recent times. I honestly think this performance is better than the one he gave as Han Solo in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. He just feels like that this is the same character that we saw in the original Blade Runner, and you get the sense that he's the same person, but stuff has happened to him over that time, and you feel like there's been a sense of progression with his character. It's just amazing, and the journey he goes on throughout this film is fantastic. Like I said, I think Harrison Ford knocks it out of the park with this performance. The supporting cast as well are amazing. I think the one that really stood out to me, in my opinion, was Ana de Armas. I thought she was really good in this film, probably the standout supporting character for me. Of course, you got Dave Bautista in there, who was, of course, in Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, he played Drax in that film. Jared Leto, of course, plays the main villain of the film, Nyanda Wallace. I thought he was very good in this film, especially since I really wasn't a fan of him as the Joker in Suicide Squad. I was very surprised to see that I really enjoyed him as a villain in this film. And for all you Walking Dead fans out there, Lenny James, who of course plays Morgan, does play a small role in this film, and yeah, he wasn't too bad either. And I didn't actually know he was in the film, so yeah, that was kind of a nice surprise to, throw in there. Now, I can't finish this review without talking about the visuals, because this is easily one of the best looking movies to ever release in cinema. It is truly astonishing. Roger Deakins, for me, has been a fantastic, cinematographer. He's been amazing. I mean, he's worked with Denis Villeneuve beforehand on his other films, such as Arrival. I know he definitely worked with him on that one. I think he worked with him on Prisoners as well. But this guy's done so much stuff. He did The Shawshank Redemption as well, which is my favorite movie of all time. He did Skyfall. just an amazing cinematographer. And if he does not win Best Cinematography at the Oscars, I am going to riot, because this film's visuals are amazing. Like, the original film holds up so well today from its visual standpoint. This film is just as good. The visuals are incredible, and they feel so vibrant and fresh, yet they don't feel old or too familiar to what has come beforehand in the original film. It's just amazing. Some of these visuals, you really need to be in the cinema to truly experience it. It's phenomenal. I actually do wish that I went to go and watch this film in 3D, because I only watched it on a 2D screening. If I watch this film again, which I probably will do, I'll definitely be going for the 3D, because I really want to see how beautiful it looks. And the last thing I want to touch on before I end the review and give my final verdict is the world itself. The world feels amazing. Just like the characters, this world feels like it has changed since the original film. You get the sense that it has progressed, but not necessarily for the better. The world has become even worse, in my opinion, since the first film. You know, you can tell that times have changed, but the change that you also witness of the world within the story, I thought was very good as well. It was one of my favorite things about the original Blade Runner as well, about how it's, you know, trying to essentially show us what our future could be like, and I thought they did a very good job with that in this film, and I was very impressed with just the whole futuristic setting. It's just really, really cool and very, very interesting. So, for a final verdict for this film, I think, based on what I've already said in this review, I think you already know what I'm going to give this movie. I think this movie is just an easy 10 out of 10 film. It's easily the best movie of this year. Previously, before this, for me, it was probably Get Out, but that wasn't really a 10 out of 10 film, because I did have some problems with that movie. I couldn't think of one flaw when I watched this film in the cinema. It was fantastic. And like I said, I'm a really big fan of the original films. I had pretty high expectations, and somehow I was blown away still watching this film. And if you have not watched the original Blade Runner and you want to go watch Blade Runner 2049, you need to watch the original, because it's only about just under 2 hours long. This movie is about 2 hours and 40 minutes, but honestly, you can completely see past that, because the pacing is so good, and it's just a fantastic movie. I think it's equal, in my opinion, to the original Blade Runner. Whether it's better, I'm not 100% sure. I would probably have to, you know, I'll be asked that question in about 5 years' time and see how the film holds up. But as of right now, easy 10 out of 10. Easily the best film of this year. And if you haven't seen Blade Runner 2049, you seriously need to owe yourself to go and watch this movie. It's phenomenal. So that is my review for Blade Runner 2049. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. And if you have watched Blade Runner 2049, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the film. And with that being said, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching the video, and I hope to see you again next time.